Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. In today's topic, Robert Brooks, the anti-Black American terrorism toward him. No other comparison of cultures, backgrounds, etc. in America for centuries of ingrained hatred toward them. No other comparison of centuries old anti-American Black hatred that is not happening, has never happened to any other cultures, backgrounds, alternative lifestyle categories, numbers of late-coming immigratingist groups, a few immigrating groups that came around a few generations ago in minuscule numbers. Nothing has happened to them. Nothing has happened to latecomers, ones that are here now. Nothing's happened to a border breaker, illegal immigrant personnel. Nobody else in America has had the type of centuries old anti-hatred terrorism toward them for centuries than American Blacks, and especially American Black males. But at the same time, and no reparations. In this situation with Robert Brooks, this Black male who is inside a particular correctional facility or moved toward a correctional facility that he was going to an infirmary for whichever health situations he was having, and he gets beat down and then eventually, unfortunately, deceased. Today is April the 15th, 2025. And you have numbers of people within certain section of the predominated culture, the ones this applies to, who have an ingrained hatred toward American Blacks and act like that stuff is still not going on. But the situation that has happened with the Carmelo Anthony situation up in Frisco, Texas, of that 17-year-old or 16-year-old Black teen, right, that was minding his freaking business up there at a track meet, that he had all rights to be there. And you had these little, as some people would say, bully twins, according to some allegations of them, that were saying they were bullies. And one of them has sit there and got the nerve up to sit there and go to the tent, which he wasn't even part of the original tent in the first place, and has the nerve to sit there and go up to Carmelo Anthony and tell him, you should be here. As if this is some 1960s, 1970s, and various parts 80s, 90s, even 2000, various parts of America still had a pseudo segregation. That so that fool, right? He got juked by Carmelo Anthony for putting his hands on Carmelo Anthony first. Right? To act like that Black folks ain't supposed to be able to sit where they need to sit at, what they want to sit at. They ain't caused no problems. And then when he got juked, all of a sudden, oh my goodness, he should not have a knife. As if nobody else in that track stadium could not have any kind of knife, tool, or some other type of thing that some people might say, oh, that's a weapon. But they're like, no, it's not. Right? And the deflection of sitting there acting as if the twin, right, that lost his life because he put his hands on Carmelo first, that is an assault. But you see the dastardly, demonic, right, archaic clan member type mentality that certain ones within certain predominant culture have, right? But it's saying, oh, don't get it confused. Oh, there's some other cultures out there, some ones within certain cultures and backgrounds and etc. Immigrating this group, the ones it applies to, certain politicalness, certain types of border breaking, certain types of others, certain type of lifestyle personnel, the ones it applies to. Oh, you best believe there's numbers that have an anti-American Black hatred. Unfortunately, this also goes for certain ones that have some skin of Black, but not quite Black American, to the ones it applies to. So this constant anti-American black hatred. And so this Robert Brooks situation, it was just disgusting because when you listen to this topic today, for many people had not even either heard about Robert Brooks' situation, or the last time they heard about Robert Brooks' situation has been a while. And this is why I want to go ahead and do a show on this. Had one do a show like this before, but then I was like, oh my goodness, this terrorism toward American blacks, racial terrorism. And the hatred is very real. But at the same time, they want to sit there and deflect with something like a Carmel Anthony situation and ask why he's sitting there brought a knife, but they won't sit there and go tell, hey, won't you talk about that disgusting husband of the twins who sit there and had a sexual assaultness thing in his background. They don't talk about that. Interesting. Main media don't talk about that. They don't sit there and talk about the dysfunctionality of that family. They don't sit there and talk about how they're positive. I don't go into all that. So the list goes on. But they're blaming a black male, regardless if he's a black teen or if he's a adult black male. And I'm not talking about sellouts and gullible ones. It's something about the ingrained hatred toward a black male, right? Even though he does not commit the most crimes, that's known as the males within various parts commit the predominated culture. He's not. He has black males are not the number one embezzler personnel. They certainly, by the way, people don't know, it is numbers of males within the predominated culture who has done the most violence toward numbers of enforcement people. But let some numbers of personnel within certain parts of predominated culture tell it, it's black folks. And some other naive type personnel from some various type cultures and backgrounds the ones applies to, who got this hatred toward American blacks. But let me go ahead and just relay this. The hatred toward a black male, American black male, is real. Yes, the alert status, right? So let me go ahead and try. Well, not try. Let me go ahead and start trying to play some different things on here. Because one of the things about it is that, see, there are numbers of people who see this little thing, you look crab at the bottom. See, they say that's symbolical of certain types of black males. Just give an example. And you say it's big old whatever it is, turtle, so snapping turtle, whatever it is. He represents or she represents a conglomerate of various type people and backgrounds and etc. that just constantly look at black males to see what can they sit there and do to sit there and keep trying to sit there and use bad propaganda toward black males. What can they do to try to minimize black pain toward black males, but at the same time use black males as a stepping stone, right? As various type groups who know who they are. They do it every freaking day, right? But they couldn't sit there and build up their own countries correctly. The ones it applies to, right? The ones who know they are. Nothing wrong having opportunities to come to America, but how many sit there and run as fast as possible from their own countries to get away from people that look like them? And I'm talking about the ones it applies to, but have the nerve to try to look down upon American blacks and had their hand out, right? Trying to feed off American black pain? Disgusting. But the symbology is this: they looking to see what else can they do toward black folks, right? Especially black male. Come here, black male. What? Wait a minute. What? Yeah, black male. Come here. What? What's going on? Hey. Oh, what? That's time. Yeah. This is the hatred that numbers of personnel have toward American blacks. And the progenitors are certain ones within the predominant culture, the ones it applies to. Because you cannot have a collective amount of of Anglo personnel that are for American black justiceness, reparations, etc. And you cannot have a collective and still have this hatred toward American blacks. So apparently it's not a small amount. But so let's go ahead and play this particular first video just to kind of get some stuff out the way again to put this in perspective. Give me one moment here. One moment here. If I share my screen.
The U.S., meanwhile, the prison inmate brought to a new prison in upstate New York. Authorities say within a half an hour of arriving there, the inmate was clinically dead. Tonight, hear the disturbing police video, and now 9 former corrections officers are charged. Here's Stephanie Ramos.
Tonight, multiple corrections officers seen in this disturbing body camera video beating Robert Brooks at a New York State prison, now charged in his death. Brooks had just been transferred to the Marcy Correctional Facility near Utica.
About a half an hour later, he was clinically dead.
6 former officers charged with murder, all 6 plus 3 others charged with manslaughter. Last December, the officers seen choking, punching, and kicking the 43-year-old in the face, torso, and genitals.
I think any sentient human being looking at the tapes naturally comes to the conclusion that he must have said something. He must have spit at the officers.
Do you see the minimization? Well, he must have did something. He's in handcuffs. And by the way, I may get a chance to show this and I might not. How he was still getting beat down before he even arrived at that final part of the infirmary. How he was getting beat down before that. Now change the dynamic, right? A bunch of black males grab up a Anglo male, and the Anglo male did all kind of stuff, and he got beat down by these black officers and stuff like that. And then say, for instance, it was a black male, like this guy's talking about, this Fitzpatrick guy, and a black male saying, black guy say, hey, you know what? I mean, you would think that, you know, hey, maybe because it's Anglo male or this type of Asian male, whatever that's supposed to mean, because Asia is a continent, but you know, that's another whole game in itself. But if a black male did, you know what? Maybe he sit there and the Anglo male salivated upon these black correction officers. You know what? Maybe then, but you know, this is the silliest tactic, right? Let's go ahead and finish. Oh, hold on, give me a second.
He must have resisted in some way, and the fact of the matter is, he did absolutely nothing.
An autopsy finding Brooks died from homicide caused by asphyxia due to neck compression and multiple blunt force injuries. Tonight, Brooks's family calling the charges a step toward accountability.
These men murdered my father. It was on video. These men need to be prosecuted and convicted of the crimes they made.
Brooks had been serving a 12-year prison sentence for assault. All of the charged officers pled not guilty, and some have been released on bond.
Watch how, as what, and you heard as well, how they will throw out, well, he was in prison because of, you know, this happening. And it's interesting, but at the same damn time, if that was an Anglo male, the one applies to, or a certain type of Asian male, or a certain type of white, a white Hispanic male, I'm just giving an example of something. Oh, we call Native Americans, whatever that's supposed to mean. But I'm giving an example. I was Native American male, and he did something wrong. The whole point, people be like, well, I mean, they ain't got anything to do with, you know, him being beat down. So why y'all bring up what that these various other males, what they did, you know, why they've been locked up? No one, they don't care about that. Right? But you see, you got to bring up someone's a black male, and a disgustingality with the situation what was going on toward Carmelo Anthony in the Frisco, the track meet situation, right? When he was sitting there trying to sit there and provide self-defense to himself by a bully that put his hands on Carmelo Anthony first, the assault of toward Carmelo Anthony. And you got certain ones within the Palm-based culture keep trying to make excuses for that, right? But I make that darn point is that they didn't bring up that Carmelo Anthony's father, you know, has a a sexual assaultness type of conviction. They don't want to bring that up. But at the same time, Robert Brooks, okay, well, he's been locked up because of this already. I'm telling you, boy, the stuff is disgusting. And you see this disgusting monster, right? Look at this image. If that would have been a black male and the rest of these cowards, these demonic cowards, anti-American black, if they would have did this and that would have been a white male, an Asian male, whatever that's supposed to mean, because it's Afro-Asiatic personnel too, but of course that's another topic. If this had been a white Hispanic male, which whatever that's supposed to mean, because that doesn't mean they speak Spanish, because there's Afro-Hispanics. But the point, if this would have been a black male that sit there and put his foot on a handcuff, one of those other cultures, it would have been hell to pay for. Do you see this disgusting tactic? Well, let me see what else I want to play, because there's some, I mean, I'm trying to keep this as short as possible because it's so many different things, right? So much black pain.
I couldn't help but note your pain. My pain, it runs deep. Share it with me.
Yes, yes. So much black pain.
I couldn't help but note your pain. My pain, it runs deep. Share it with me.
Yes, so much black pain. What I want to show next? Oh man, so much. Oh yes. Let me share this. The legend. Yeah. See, and they make sure not to bring this up quite a lot. Now, all the numbers of them had. Hold on, give me a second here. Some of them. Okay, make sure I share this. Is looking all right. Okay, that looks right. Now, hold on. Okay, it looks right. Now, look at this. Make sure I can see this right. Okay. Now, look at this. Some New York prison guards charging a beating down unalignment of the handcuffed black male inmate appear in court. Oh, excuse me. Well, that's not what I want to use, but I'll go ahead and go with the flow with it. According to these ones, 6 New York prison guards have been indicted for second-degree murder in the beating unalignment of handcuffed. Look at here, and you look around. What are they doing? Sitting around observing that. Again, if this would have been some black correctional officers who did this to an Asian male, who did this to a white Hispanic male, who did this to a Native American male, who did this to a white Hispanic male, you get the point. Did this to a white immigrating male, did this to anyway, you get the darn point. A border breaking male. Do you not realize the black male did this was putting his foot in a handcuff one of them? And other black correctional officers sitting around, oh my goodness, right? But at the same time, you got ones within the Panama-based culture that want to act like, oh, well, racism, there's no such thing as that. Black folks are always talking about racism. Boy, it's telling but at the same time, it just shows you again the powerlessness of, a certain person who know I'm talking about, the powerlessness of how they show the blatant disregard for American blacks collectively present day. They're like, Negroes, what you gonna do to us? What you gonna do? Treating American blacks as if they just showed up in America a generation ago, 2 generations ago. Oh, you best believe the American blacks in the 60s and some 70s. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, this couldn't keep happening like this. Oh, no. So it says 6 New York prison guards, coward ones, non-American black, have been indicted for second-degree murder, Martha, and the beating unalignment of a handcuffed black male. A brutal incident captured on the body-worn cameras that triggered widespread outrage and calls for justice. Widespread outrage. You see the article, February 20, 2025. This happened in December 2024. Outrage, right? When was the last outrage? People listen to this show right now, April the 15th, 2025. Where's the justice? Where's the laws? Where's the anti-American black hate crime that was done for Asians, which is very generically, because which Asians you talking about? Because there's Afro-Asian people too, right? What's hate crime laws for that? What's it? The insultingness. 4 other correctional workers, Anglo versions, basically males, were charged with lesser crimes in the December unalignment of Robert Brooks at Marcy Correctional Facility in an indictment. Special process, whatever it is, Fitzpatrick said especially disturbing to him was a sense of normalcy. You surprised? Sense of normalcy of these particular Anglo employees of the video, which was caught unintentionally on the body-worn cameras. Unintentionally. To know what if there were the cameras were not around in that, or they had them turned off. It'd be like, oh well, another Negro unalived. I think any sentient any sentient human being looking at the tapes naturally comes to the conclusion that he must have said something. Watch this. I think any sentient human being looking at the tapes naturally, that's natural, right? For a person would be that for a handcuffed inmate male to be beat down by various cowards. And that's a natural inclination to think that the person must have said something. He must have salivated at the officers. He must have resisted in handcuffs, right? And even when it's outrageous, the video showing that he was not resisting, especially the last video part didn't show anywhere where he was resisting. To even sit there and minimize this to say it might, what could it be he have done something, but they wouldn't have said nothing if that was a white male, an Hispanic male, a Native American male, an immigrant male, right? You get the point. It wouldn't have happened. But something about black male is the hatred, right? Handcuffed correctional employees appeared one after another in a packed Utica court to enter a not guilty plea. Fitzpatrick said at least 6 made bond in court. To sit there and give them bond after various ones directly sit there and contribute to the unaliving of this black male handcuffs, and they still get to have bail bond. I mean, was able to bond out. Bail for the martyr charge was set at $250,000 bail bond, or a $1 million partially secured surety bond. $250,000 bail bond. What was the amount? So the people who already know this, the amount of the bond that they put toward Carmelo Anthony, the 16 or 17-year-old black American teen up in Frisco, Texas, 4.0 student, away up there, high grades, functionality family. Mom, dad been married for a dozen plus years, right? Nice neighborhood, doing a thing, right? But at the same damn time, Carmelo Anthony defending himself for some bullies who put their hand on Carmelo Anthony, the black teen in Frisco at a track meet, who had all rights to be in that tent where he was at. When it had been found out that the other guy, one of the other twins that got unalive for sitting up putting his little paws on a black male, that's called assault, putting your hands on somebody like that, right? When he told him ahead of time, hey, telling the little Anglo teen, don't put your hands on me. Don't put your hand on me. Who this Negro think he is? Right? I make this point, and when he got arrested, they put the personnel put a $1 million bond on him. $1 million for that, for self-defense, right? Now, if it was vice versa, you damn think that a black teen, now this changed the whole dynamic with that. Dysfunctionality, black. By the way, they keep thinking, and this is a blame on certain sections of within American Blackism, right? Because the perception has been so sullied collectively to sit the ones that are allowing this, because the majority of black folks are in middle class, but they ain't gonna sit there and tell you that, right? The majority what black Americans make, please, would build up many countries on this globe. But they gonna make seem like that black folks are the broke of the broke. And that's not true whatsoever. Black folks don't sit there and get the most welfare. That's numbers of women within the Panama-based culture gets most welfare. And then certain numbers of Hispanic women. and the list, et cetera, right? The most criminality personnel in America is not the black male. It's numbers of males within the Panamanian culture who commit the most crimes. But you see, it's propaganda. And it's a loud, bad problem. And it's a loud by a certain section of American blacks that you cannot be this contingent reactionary, right? Because if this is vice versa, there's no freaking way there'd have been a $1 million bond on a little Anglo boy whose father, I'm just giving an example, Anglo boy who had a knife on him, and the little black boy sitting there, excuse me, if it was vice versa, the little black boy put his paws on the little Anglo boy, if Carmelo Anthony was a little Anglo boy, and Carmelo Anthony was a twin, if Carmelo Anthony would have put his hands on the little Anglo boy, right, or said to the little Anglo boy, you shouldn't be here, and the little twin said, hey, don't put your hands on me, and the little black fellow Carmelo Anthony put his hands on Carmelo Anthony, put his hands on the other twin, on the twin, right, and the twin juked Carmelo Anthony, you think he would have got a $1 million bond? Of course not. And it'd have been called self-defense. There's some warpness and some derangement in certain sections within certain parts of America by certain ones within certain parts of Panamanian culture. And then some other ones within some other various cultures within certain ones, they look upon American blacks as, they hate numbers of American blacks as well, but they sit back and play the fence. It's a whole different topic in itself. But continuing, after some of the correction officers were released, one man said, this is not justice. Judge, these people unalived a black male as he left the courtroom. One woman was removed after shouting, murderer, murderer. Protesters were outside, upset that officers were offered bail. Fitzpatrick said the judge followed the law and the men were not flight risk. Would that have been the same damn thing? Was Fitzpatrick would have said the same damn thing if that was vice versa? Do you understand that? If that was vice versa, was Fitzpatrick said the same damn thing? If it was these heinous ass numbers of Anglo males who did that, Anglos, these black monster black males, they were correction officers and they sit there and put their nasty monkey hands on this innocent Anglo male that was in handcuffs, and they sit there and beat him down and kicked him basically to unalivement. Would Fitzpatrick say the same thing? You know the answer to that already. So let me stop right here. I'm looking at him. I'm tired of looking at that. Look at that, man. That's not the one I really wanted. The other one. Let me just show. Okay, let me get to this one. So let me get to this other one. This other situation before I forget, because I'm trying to the time frame a little bit. Let me play this other one, because the thing about it, they don't want to talk about this as well. Outrage. Okay, here. This is the other one. This is the other one here, right? Before allegedly participating in the basically anti-American black beating this black American man, Robert Brooks, these heinous ass numbers of Anglo officers, the one this applies to, were accused of involvement in prior violent cases or not doing things correctly too. Now look at this. Oh, look at that video right here. Look at that. Look at that. Imagine again if this was, look at Robert Brooks right here. Like he just nothing, right? So this talks about how at least 3 of the officers, the Anglo officers, involved in the fatal beating of Robert Brooks, a black male, New York man held at the Marcy Correctional Facility in upstate New York, were previously accused of assault. According to court documents obtained by this entity, the officers were among 14 staff named by the Department of Corrections related to Brooks' unalivement. None of the officers have been charged with wrongdoing. So this is a little bit earlier because it's December 31st. Right, this is when he was starting up, right? Well, this is when it was starting up by December. Talks about how none of the officers at the time, because remember this is December on this article, have been charged with they had not been charged with wrongdoing. The entity has not been able to confirm the identities of the officers shown in the video or what specific role each named person is alleged to have had. Body worn footage released that time shows correctional officers at the facility punching and kicking Brooks with his hands handcuffed behind his back. Cowards. In a medical examination room. The fatal beating is now under investigation by such and such person. And this Captain Holcomb, the governor, said, call for those involved to be fired. Right? And here it is, April the 15th, 2025. And they got bail. Most of them got bail. If not all of them. One of the two. For either directly participating in the murderers of a handcuffed black male or to sitting there and being accomplices not to do anything, like Daniel, the racism Penny, did up in New York, and that of those subway areas up there, where he was supposed to be this parade around like a hero for sitting there, not subduing this black male because that was going through some things, and you call the appropriate people and they come on by and try to get this fellow some help. No, he did like a coward and snuck behind this black male who was unarmed and with his little coward. One of them was white Hispanic and the other one could have been Hispanic, could have been another Anglo guy. Not too many stuff is talking about one accomplice was a white Hispanic because I did a show on that part because there's one of the other two henchmen. They got very quiet on that. But the point is, Daniel Penny snuck behind that black male on that subway station or whatever it was, snuck behind this male and put him in a headlock, fall down, and kept on the hold for many minutes while both of those cowards was sitting there helping to hold him down where he could not basically move too much at all, which then contributed to the unalivement of Daniel Penny. Of Jordan Neely. That was unalived by the coward Daniel Penny. And you have various people within the predominated culture, once applies to, that was sitting there acting as if that was self-defense. You see this disturbing game. And where's the outrage by more Anglos on the Robert Brooks situation, calling for political people to sit there and get involved to sit there and pass an anti-American black hatred bill? Where are those various Anglos outraged? See, having outrage, finicky outrage and not sitting there demanding for politicals, that means nothing. Right? You see, people know it took I think less than a year or so, plus or minus, for an anti-Asian bill to be done, to go in law. And American blacks have been going through black pain for centuries. Man, please. Boy, the gains, toward American blacks, especially American black males. My goodness. Officials also are looking into this. So the whole point is, hold on. So they talking about how, however, the correctional officers, typically speaks about this statement. Two of the officers, Trumbull and Officer Anthony Farina, were named in a complaint filed back in federal court in 2022, based on a 2020 incident which occurred at the same prison where Brooks was unalive. The complaint alleged as another correctional officer beat a handcuffed inmate at the correctional facility. Trumbull and Farina looked on and failed to intervene at any manner to prevent or stop the beating, leaving the plaintiff with permanent facial deformity. You didn't hear too much about that? Who is this person? What racial dynamics is this? The case remains pending. Farina resigned from his role at the Marcy Correctional Facility after Brooks's unalivement like a little coward. A different officer, Nicholas Anazzoni, that's considered honorary Anglo, by the way. Some people who know what I'm talking about, who was named by the department, is also named in a separate federal complaint 2022, stating that he joined an assault on an inmate by another correctional officer at the same facility. The complaint alleged that the officer was involved in a cover-up, fabricating disciplinary charges against the inmate, who was left with substantial physical and mental injuries. Oh my goodness. The case is pending. Court documents detail that the incident defendant CO Nicholas Anazzoni, the honorary Anglo coward, entered the bathroom during assault and joined the CO something IDIS in kicking the plaintiff while he lay on the ground. But these damn commercials. While he lay on the ground, into the bathroom during the assault and joined the CO IDIS something. Kicking plaintiff while he lay on the ground and or failed to stop CO IDIS assault. After beating him, defendants took plaintiff to the Marcy infirmary in a van, wherein they forced plaintiff to lie face down on the floor while CO Anazzoni kicked his feet. A 2022 report from a watchdog organization found widespread reports of assaults at the Marcy Correctional Facility. That's 2022. 2024 is the one that situation happened with Robert Brooks. A 2022 report from the watchdog organization found widespread reports of assaults at the Marcy Correctional Facility by officers and recommended an investigation from the AG's office. The investigation by the correctional, trying to investigate all that stuff like this. We're calling recommended. It singled out a recommendation for body-worn cameras. One of those recommendations adopted has been some investment of millions of dollars to continue to expand fixed cameras in all facilities. Along with body-worn cameras, body-worn cameras were deployed to Marcy Correctional Facility in May 2024. The cameras were critical in preserving the evidence of fatal attack by those various cowards, non-black cowards, in this situation toward the Black American Mr. Brooks on that, right? So they already had previous altercations by a number of those coward-ass officers, correctional officers, the one this applies to, the non-black ones, that one this applies to, right? Let me play this other particular video about this gentleman who's real good what he does. And I'm utilizing this also for a fair usage doctrine.
There is a reason that we do not allow anyone to tell us that they are going to lump us in with other people and claim that what's happened to anybody else happened to us. You see, the Ed Blums and other white supremacists out there. And tonight I'll also include in there's a group of Jewish white supremacists of Jewish descent that have had a lot to say since before October 7th, 2023, and yet weirdly, oddly, disturbingly silent when Ed Blum goes to the Supreme Court to attack our personhood and to attack our being. Italian white supremacists, many of whom in office. Everyone wants to say that. Elon Musk now wants to talk about racism. And yet you don't have videos like this of Asians, of Jewish people, of white men. You don't have videos like this happening to them. That's the difference. And yet, when the pandemic kicked off in New York, why the focus was to do something to protect Asians.
the insultingness of that. And the Asian, that wording is genericality. Which Asians? Asia, that's a continent made up of dozens of countries, prefectures, cities, towns, etc. Many ethnicities within Asianness, but they just lump them in there, right? And certain caste system Asians benefit off that the most, right? Oh, they ones who know they are, right? But they get a reparations law, right? Only have a few million also in America, right? American blacks been here for centuries of black pain and can't sit there and get no dang anti-American black hatred bill passed on through by numbers of political personnel who didn't have a freaking problem in a collectiveness to sit there and get the anti-American black bill, anti-Asian bill done. And how many sit there and upheld still sanctuary cities? But American blacks going through black pain, oh, you know what? Whatever on that, right? Let's continue.
Here comes Ed Blum about we need to help Asians and look out for Asians. But amazingly, the only strategy that they have to, quote, protect Asians is to attack us. It is not lost on me that this is happening in a so-called Democrat blue state under a ultra blue government. They went back and changed the law so they can sit up here and go picket Donald Trump. They went up there and passed 8 legislation specifically to help Asians and, quote, protect Asians. This stuff has never happened to Asians, isn't happening to them now. Ain't that right, Peter Liang? Where is the legislation in New York for us? When we talk about the Central Park Karen, I went into my own pockets and I spent tens of thousands of dollars of my own money at that point. No crowdfundings, no anything, just straight out of my own pockets to put up big billboards in New York City because I saw that as a pivotal event. Ultimately, it helped contribute to the removal of Governor Andrew Cuomo. It didn't help his political position at all. It certainly helped to spur some talk of legislation about the Central Park Karens. But you see, right now they're trying to tell you that we need to pass a law at the federal level for Jewish people. That if you even say that the state of Israel, if you say something critical of the state of Israel, if you speak, if you say words critical of another nation, the state of Israel, wow, we want to make somehow it's punishable. They haven't really defined how that would be, but you're not allowed to do that.
But this has been in America. Where is the person moves to add anti-American black awareness act to 2025 defense bill? Because there are numbers of people who don't give a damn about American blacks. And again, there are some responsibilities, unfortunately, upon millions of American blacks, with very few exceptions, who know the game. This is done because it is collectively allowed, because it's like they know that those Negroes, they just sitting there just, reactionary, right? It's insulting to millions of American blacks that we sit there and take them for granted, every 2 years, every 4 years. We take them for granted as usual. They are the number one Democratic voting bloc for us, right? And we take them for granted. And when a few of those Negroes, get a little mad and say, "Hey, man, what you gonna do for black folk?" Well, look, I guess on that. But we are your number one most faithfulness of voting bloc. But you sitting there helping, you've gotten an anti-American, anti-Asian hate crime bill passed. Well, I guess on that. What situation with this anti-Semitism situation that how much billions been going toward over the Israel part. I mean, I guess on how much billions been going toward border break illegal immigrants and sanctuary cities and allowing that continue to keep happening. Yeah, I mean, I guess on that. I mean, stop immigrant hatred and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, I mean, we got to look at all kind of stuff. Well, I mean, tell me, boy, man, goodness.
Yet right here on American soil, Chuck Schumer is not pushing for legislation for the only group of people who have ever been or are systematically targeted. Let us be very clear in what we say here. Ain't nobody being targeted by the police, the court system, the prosecuting attorneys, the government. No one is being targeted except us. That's it.
But at the same time, well, yeah, I mean, 2025, and I mean, where we talking about racism still, and it's something ingrained by the demonicnism in certain ones within certain parts of predominant culture. One it's applies to, there's some demonicnism on certain ones, and there's some other ones who want to be honorary Anglos, and some other ones who play the fence, who know they are. I mean, it's almost like they just slapped the crap out of black folks' face and like, what's the problem? And they said, well, numbers of American blood, what are they going to do about it? Not a damn thing. Collectively, they would not do a damn thing because they full of self-hatred. And that's all. They're like scared to sit there and say, enough. Enough. You give an anti-American, I mean, you give an anti-Asian hate crime bill, right? Just like that. And that means that goes toward numbers of ones that are illegal. That goes to certain ones, Asians that are visa overstayers, right? Now, again, I'm not talking about numbers of good ones. So we're not going to play that tactic. And Asia is a continent, people, right? So that means Iran, Iraq, Armenia, right? Those are also considered Asian countries. If we really want to play that tactic, Jordan, Syria, right? Lebanon, should we say, considered Asian places. Pakistan, Afghanistan, they're though considered Asian countries. You said his goals, right? But you see how this game they keep playing on this, right? So let me go ahead and play. I don't have too many more videos I'm going to play on this. The insultingness of former officers. Charles, give me a second here.
New tonight, 10 state corrections officers are now weighing plea deals for the charges they face in the December murder of inmate Robert Brooks. Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy. Megan is off tonight. The prison officers charged in the violent death of the Marcy inmate have plea deals to consider now. Onondaga County DA Bill Fitzpatrick, acting as the special prosecutor, offered deals to all 10 officers who stand.
Offered deals to these monsters. Now, if this would have been all these black males that have done this to a handcuffed white male, oh, no, there is no deal. Oh, boy, they do stuff right in front of black folks, it means American black folks' face. They do this kind of stuff right in the face.
And accused of playing a role in Brooks's death. All 10 appeared in Oneida County Court today. All worked at Marcy State Prison where Brooks was killed. Body cameras that were turned off but still recording, to the surprise of officers, captured video of the violent attack.
So they turned off the camera audio, and they thought that they turned off, however once, thought they turned off the video part. That should be a law broken too. Tamper with evidence.
Brooks is being seen being punched, kicked, and restrained in those video while in handcuffs. He died the next day.
In handcuffs.
The team's Connor White takes us inside the courtroom where the special prosecutor also hinted at a possible federal investigation.
On Monday, another routine step in a somewhat extraordinary case. All 10 officers accused in Robert Brooks's death coming publicly to the courtroom. It's something that former inmates and advocates will tell you is rare when it comes to cases of alleged abuse happening inside state prisons. And there are a lot of eyes on this, including now federal prosecutors. And at least one defense attorney came to the judge to complain about some of the comments being made outside the courtroom. Robert Brooks' son back in court Monday to see the state prison corrections officers accused of killing his father. The fatal encounter happening in December at Marcy Prison as Brooks was arriving from another prison in a seemingly routine transfer. The COs did not turn their body cameras on, but a default setting still recorded the attack. The gruesome video showing repeated kicks and punches to Brooks, who was handcuffed and restrained throughout. 6 of the men are now charged with murder. 3.
Let me hold on. The cowardness of these cowards, cowardly
punches to Brooks, who was handcuffed and restrained throughout. 6 of them.
Now, just imagine if this was black American males line up just like this, and they did this to again an Anglo handcuffed man. Or they did this to an Asian male, or they did this to a white Hispanic male. They did this to what we call Native Americans. They did it to a Native American male. They did this to an immigrant male. And these are black males that did. Oh my goodness. You know the outrage for real. This would have. Oh my, there will be no bails. No bails, no bail. There will be no plea deals, not a damn thing. And this system keeps showing black males that American black males mean nothing in this damn system of supremacy, which is the most awesome mental manipulation force has ever existed.
The men are now charged with murder. 3 are facing manslaughter charges for recklessly.
Look at that. Look at the evenness of the Klan like personnel. Look at the one on the left side. You smell that? I smell Klan. Right? Look at the one in the middle. Overt racial racism, hatred. One on the right side. Pseudo racial racism, hatred. Right? But again, if these are 3 additional black males that did this to a handcuffed, innocent, white male or any other male, they would have been hell to pay, right? No bells, no nothing.
Causing Brooks's death. And 1 faces a tampering with evidence charge. Special Prosecutor Bill Fitzpatrick, the Onondaga County District Attorney, is now offering all 10 plea deals. No one shared details in open court, and Fitzpatrick declined to comment afterwards. Nicholas Pasalacqua, defense
for all of them.
Routine transfer. The COs did not turn their body cameras on, but a default setting still recorded the attack. The gruesome video showing.
And look at the ones that's sitting around, not doing nothing. This like or whatever. Look at the one right in the. It's kind of middle. Right, this looking. I mean, it's like this no mercy. I mean, collector. I mean, it would be nice if the baby like, yes, there has to be millions of American black males, black folks in general, that's got to stop. Demand this shit going to stop. Period. And American blacks are not just going to keep tolerating this shit. What that mean? What they gonna do? They gonna make violence? You see how this shit goes, right? If black folks said, "Well, hey man, this shit got to stop, people. You keep doing us wrong like this. We're not gonna tolerate this no more." What do you mean by that? Oh, y'all talking about doing violence? Why violence is being put upon black folks? See, there is no logicalness of trying to talk logically to certain ones within the plant-based culture. The politicalness of demandingness, the constructive of justice demandingness has to sit there and be done in a collective. Oh, you're against black folks and politicalness? Oh, you definitely a coon or you're a sellout. Oh, you know, different culture and background, you making excuses, but you still not trying to do for your people. Oh, don't ask us for our vote. But see, that's not going to collectively going to be happening toward black American blacks. And many people know it, unfortunately.
repeated kicks and punches to Brooks, who was handcuffed and restrained throughout. 6 of the men are now charged with murder. 3 are facing manslaughter charges for recklessly causing Brooks's death, and 1 faces a tampering with evidence charge. Special Prosecutor Bill Fitzpatrick, the Onondaga County District Attorney, is now offering all 10 plea deals. No one.
Do you think 10 black male correction officers who handcuffed a white male handcuffed, getting kicked and beat down like he was nothing, or if he was a Native American male handcuffed, getting beat the hell down like he's nothing, or if he was an Asian male, or he was a immigrant male, if he's a border breaker male, do you think they would have got plea deals? They keep showing the hate. They keep showing the blatant disrespect of American blacks as if American blacks just arrived over in America. But then people sit there and take for granted American black folks, which includes American black males, voting for granted.
Shared details in open court, and Fitzpatrick declined to comment afterwards. Nicholas Pasalacqua, defense attorney for David Walters, told reporters off camera that the DA's disposition includes a recommended sentence on the lower to mid-range of what the judge will consider. It's unclear what's on the table for others who have at least 2 weeks to make a decision on the state charges. These defendants learning they could also face federal charges, with the U.S. Attorney's Office out of Rochester now investigating.
They are actively pursuing the matter. I have suggested to them that the dispositions I have offered would satisfy the case completely. They have not agreed to that, but they did respond in a favorable manner, indicating they would consider that.
A lawyer representing the family of Robert Brooks sending this brief and pointed statement, quote, "These officers were caught red-handed on camera beating Robert to death. It's an open and shut case. They need to take responsibility for their actions."
That's right. It should be an open and shut case, but it's not. It's an open and shut case if this was 10 black American COs, and they sit there and did this to a different type of male, a white male. They did it to a Native American male. They did it to an Asian male. They did it to a border breaker male. This open shut case, but something about toward American black males, it's not open and shut case. Now, I'm not talking about sellouts and coons, because unfortunately there are some coons and some sellout numbers of black males as well. I'm not talking about them. Last video. So the thing about it is, I'm gonna show this last video on this, and again, it's an insulting, because again, if this was a black male or black males correction officers who did this to any other males, there will be hell to pay. And the system knows this, but it is allowed by millions of black folks, millions of American black males collectively allow these things to happen, with very few exceptions who are saying enough. And this is why I continue to keep happening on this, because this system acted as if American black folks, American black males just arrived in America. And that's the insulting part. So the last, I guess, video I'm going to show, and I definitely went over a lot of time. It's supposed to be a short show. Anyway, last video. One second here. Let me sure get that right. Okay.
You killing our kids. You killing our kids. You put them in jail and they get murdered.
This outburst, one of many reactions that we're seeing tonight as several corrections officers are charged with the prison beating death of Robert Brooks.
Many upset with the judge's decision to set bail for all those involved. CBS 6's Brianna Sapardi reports from outside Oneida County Court with the latest.
At least 5 corrections officers are facing murder charges in connection to the brutal beating death of Robert Brooks, who is an inmate at Marcy Correctional Facility. 4 others are facing lesser crimes, including manslaughter and tampering with physical evidence. But for Brooks' family and others seeking justice for his death, they feel it hasn't been fully served.
An Oneida County grand jury has charged you with various crimes, the top count of which is murder in the second degree.
It was standing room only inside the courtroom where 10 officers were indicted on charges for the beating death of inmate Robert Brooks. Dozens came out to the Oneida County Courthouse Thursday to be there to see the officers stand before a judge for arraignment. The 5 officers charged with second-degree murder include Nicholas Anzalone, David Kingsley, Anthony Farina, Christopher Walrath, and Matthew Gallagher. 3 other officers, Michael Mashaw, Michael Fisher, and David Walters, have been charged with manslaughter, while Nicholas Gentile was charged with tampering with physical evidence. Bail was set for all of them, which didn't sit well with those seeking justice for Robert Brooks, some even confronting the family of the officers. Protests erupted after the arraignment, angry that these defendants charged with murder were able to make bond and go home to their families.
This was a continuation of injustice. I never, and once in my community, seen what you release someone for murder in the second degree. I'm someone who was arrested, indicted, and wrongfully convicted for murder in the second degree. When I was arrested, I didn't get no bail.
They're going home to their families tonight. All of them. It's 2 systems that we're dealing with here. It's a system that's for righteous people and a system for people that don't look like us. So, you know, this is a step in the direction, but it's like justice delayed is justice denied.
Robert Ricks, Brooks' father, angry and emotional, had these words to say.
My question is why? That's my question. Why? Why do y'all hate us so?
But at the same time, you'll have some people that do just like, I'm sure what some people would do like this. Why do black folks always talk about racism so much, right? Because you got people that see nothing, they hear nothing, and they know nothing when it's dealing with American black pain. But at the same time,
brutal moment.
Oh, give me a second here. But at the same time,
Capturing.
if this was again a black male, or excuse me, these other 2 cowards, these little snake venom, anti-American black cowards. But if this was 2 black ones that was doing this to a white male or a Native American male or Asian male, whatever it's supposed to mean, because Asia is a continent and it's Afro-Asiatic people. If he was doing this if 2 of these correctional officers were black correctional officers, if this was an immigrant male, there will be national outrage. All right?
Brutal moments, beatings inflicted upon a handcuffed inmate. This unfolded at the Marcy Correctional Facility near Utica. The inmate was beaten at the hands of several corrections officers earlier this month. He later died. Dan Levy, a reporter, has been gathering reactions to this video today. We do have a warning for you, though. The images that you're about to see here are...
That's enough of that. So there's no way, if this would have been black folks and this would have happened, if this would have been 10 different cowards and the black males were correctional officers and they did this to any other male, it was not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So in closing, I will say again to the soul of Robert Brooks, I hope his soul continues to rest. Thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.